If I could do what Ramsay did to you, I would.
I will not kneel before some barefooted common and beg his forgiveness.
Jon's taking a risk, but he has to. We don't stand a chance otherwise.
My ancestors would spit on me if I broke bread with a crow.
What's a flick? It's true, you did. Jon, Cenk, Matt actually looks great.
Yes. It's the new pants, I think.
It's, and Anna, I think it's the first time I've done this with you this year. This is good.
Yep.
This is good. So, all right. I mean, I guess we start at the end. I have so many notes on that. Like, and my notes got worse and worse. You know, like at the beginning, I was like having fun. I'm like, must get dragon glass. You know, this is all fun. Now, but I want to ask you this question: at the end, when the although the guy who he killed with dragon glass, I sort of think is the Tywin Lannister of the White Walkers because he looked like Tywin Lannister.
I thought for a second
that it was,
him.
So did I.
Right.
But the guy the surviving leader at the end,
With the horns.
this is really mostly a question for Cenk, but I want you guys to jump in because you're just who I thought of here. When he goes like this, he's not just raising the dead. I think he's taunting him. I think there was a degree of, really?
Yeah.
You're going to defeat us with your special sword? You know?
Well, okay, so I saw that in a couple of ways. First of all, when he did this, it scared the shit out of me because I thought he was going to do something with the water.
That's what I thought too.
Okay,
yeah.
and I'm like, oh no, there goes all
Freeze
the ships,
it.
there goes Jon Snow, whatever, right? And they, if you notice, they stopped rowing because they were amazed and they're looking, right, on the little Jon Snow's little boat, dinghy. I was thinking, keep rowing, keep rowing.
Yeah,
How did they stop
really
rowing?
took their time, right? Like by the end of the episode, when you see where the boats are, you're like, really? That's how long it took you to get that far? Go!
It was like 40 feet.
I just like that the undead, as powerful as they are, nope, they're separated from us by 40 feet of water. Can't do that. We don't. We have no solution for this.
I think we also need to point out possibly the bravest characters in the history of Game of Thrones. At the very end, they're running to the dock, and there's a boat with two people just like, they'll get her eventually.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 zombies right there. No one waits for Jon Snow.
No,
You start
that
rowing.
was convenient that there was one boat left. I agree. Totally convenient. So the other things I thought is what, like the dead can't swim?
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing they can't
swim.
do.
They can't even.
They could fall off a cliff and get back up, but they can't swim.
They can't even get on a boat. They can't break off part of the dock and row out with that. I mean,
Right. Number two, the whole episode I was obsessed with in the last 20 minutes. How are they going to get the giant on the boat?
Right. Totally. Yeah.
What boat is going to put the giant?
Oh, I thought he was dying.
And I thought there was going to be no little boat to take Jon Snow. I thought the giant was going to carry them to the
I thought the giant was
ships,
going
which
to pick
would have
that.
been badass.
I thought the giant was going to pick that boat up.
Yeah,
Pick
that's
their boat up
again,
and
right.
carry it
No,
out.
he was
But
out.
the giant was like, nah, see you guys.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to die and then come back as blue-eyed giant.
Totally, yeah.
And I thought the giant was going to use the dragon glass he had in his hand at some point, but he never did, right? No. So there was a lot of thoughts about the giant that didn't come to fruition, although he is still massively badass, and I wish he had his buddies still around. I wish Jon Snow hadn't killed some of his buddies, or Jon Snow's friends hadn't killed him.
Yeah, but anyway. But that said, he did not do anybody a solid. Like he didn't.
Oh, he's a loner.
I mean, he was like proven incredibly incorrect. You need to band together, right? And he realized that, but he had no moment of like, you were right. I got you. I'm with you.
Right.
Yeah. He just was just saving himself.
He's the Mad Maxes of the wildlings. Yeah. Okay. So now back to this. I hadn't realized it until you made the hand motion. It's a little Jesus-like. Like to do this and to raise the dead, right? But he's obviously the anti-Jesus. He's even got the horns.
I thought he was just going to be like, what do I do now? I can't get to the boat.
Speaking of which, that reminded me of Anna, because to Ben's point, it was kind of like a, what now?
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So I thought a little trash talking. I think.
I liked it. I thought it was a really powerful scene. There were so many moments where I was sure that Jon Snow was done.
I wrote it down.
Especially when he went back for the dragon glass. And I was like, just forget the dragon glass. You can get more. You don't need to go back and get it there. And he miraculously survived. And that's the thing with Game of Thrones. They kill so many people, whether they're good people, bad people. The most important characters in the show, they'll just die off, and you're like, what the hell just happened? So I was just expecting it.
And they had Sam say to Ollie, he always comes back. I mean,
that's
nothing
true.
is a clearer death sentence on a TV show than he always comes back.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
let
it would be
alone
fitting.
But like when he went to get the dragon glass, they hadn't come over the cliff, which was a rather remarkable scene, you know.
Yeah.
Very World War Z.
Yeah, very World War Z, where they hadn't come over the cliff and they hadn't knocked down the wall yet. So at that point, you're like, hey, if we all get some dragon glass, maybe we beat these 85 guys. Oh, wait, there's 5,085 guys. We're not beating. No dragon glass is helping out here.
What I thought was interesting is, first of all, I love that almost all this episode, none of that happened in the books. Like none of this happened. So it's cool that I get to like speculate. I wasn't sure what would happen and everything, but there's some questions that aren't like answered really. Like so they hit a white with an axe, the zombies, and that goes down. But I think at the end, I think every single one of those stood back up. Like I don't think they killed anybody there. And even if they got the dragon glass, that kills White Walkers. We've never seen any evidence that it kills the zombies.
Right.
Right.
We've seen fire kills it, which they seem to have all forgotten because nobody used fire. But
I think most people think those people are the same. They're not.
No, they're
the
not.
White Walkers and the zombies are very different. It's like the minions and the actual. Like there's only a few White Walkers. The threat is mainly the
Probably
zombies.
like the zombies. The standard thing with a zombie is cut off its head. That's
Yeah,
like,
or pierce its head.
right.
But they did that, and that didn't seem to work.
yeah.
They were shooting it
I
with the
didn't know-
arrows.
I didn't know from piercing a head.
So, okay, so this leads to many
Walking
different
Dead,
things.
they constantly just.
First, on the dragon glass, I'm totally against you guys. I thought, who drops the dragon glass during a White Walker attack? Like, the minute there was they saw the first skeleton, I would have been like, dragon glass, right the fuck, who's got the dragon glass?
I'd have handfuls
right?
of it.
Right? And I would have handed that out to the Tormund, or whatever he is, right? And to the poor mom, as soon as she didn't get on the boat, I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
It's funny, just
There's
let me-
never been a moment in movie or TV history where a mom gets separated from her kids and it doesn't end in tragedy.
Exactly.
Well, it's
Right.
funny. When she said, "I'm right behind you," I thought, well, maybe John lives because they wouldn't do that twice in one show. Like she's definitely dead. Right.
I thought
So
I thought
think
Tormund was
that
dead.
eclipsed the John. He always comes back.
That's funny. All right, so no, I thought it made sense to go back to the dragon glass. Otherwise, you have no hope.
No, I agree.
No prayer.
I agree
They didn't
then.
know Valerian steel worked at that point.
Yeah, that's the first evidence.
Right.
And I don't
Oh,
know that
that's
we
right,
can
that's
get more dragon glass.
Right.
I mean, theoretically, there's some somewhere, but who knows
No.
where.
Stannis said, "Oh, we've got plenty of that in Dragonstone."
Yeah, it's like 3,000 miles away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a trip worth making.
Yeah, I guess.
But I think even though I disagree and I thought it was a bad idea for Jon to go back and get that dragon glass, the one thing that I will say is it shows that he has really developed as a leader. Because before he seemed a little naive, he seemed to make some clumsy mistakes and decisions, and now he's just this ballsy, badass leader. And I compare all of them and try to figure out, who's making the best decisions. And you compare him to like Dany, for instance, and there's just a lack of emotion with what Jon does. He does what he needs to do as a leader, and there's something really admirable about that.
There was a perfect fireman scene. That was people really fleeing and running, and then Jon and the 6 other guys, like you're like, oh no, those guys are tough.
And they're running towards.
They're going against the crowd to almost certain death.
Yeah. I like all that. I just can't get beyond the lack of logic. Like, the minute that first guy, you gotta get the dragon glass, because if you see a White Walker,
Horror.
no, you literally have no prayer. The minute the White Walkers walk down, you're all dead, right? Unless you have the dragon glass, which you miraculously have in a bag right there. All right, I'm gonna let it go. So now, more.
We didn't know about Valerian steel, right? And that was
No, that's
and
the first time.
Neither did the White Walkers.
That's exactly right. So these guys seem fairly invincible with the army of the dead plus the White Walkers, but then all of a sudden I think vincible, right? Right? So because not only does the Valerian steel get them, and there's also plenty of Valerian steel out there, right? But Jon Snow beats them in a sword fight, but more important than any of that...
Mostly from surprise, I think.
No, I know. But that's exactly what I was going to get to. More important than any of that, they're taken by surprise. So apparently they're not all-knowing. They're not as invincible as you think, because they didn't even know Valerian steel could kill them, right? So, okay, vincible, right? Now, at the end, when all the dead rise, first of all, there's the dramatic surprise. I have to confess, there's 2 things that I didn't love about the ending scene, which everybody else loved. One is, why are you surprised? They raised the dead. That's what happens. Like, I thought they were going to raise the dead the minute the scene began. All the people who die then join their army. Like, I get that. So when he does this at the end and the dead rise, everybody's like, oh my God. Like, yeah, of course. That's the whole point.
I know,
right?
but you're allowing logic and emotion can exist concurrently there.
Yeah.
Yes, you saw the thing that happens, and it happens. But seeing it on a massive scale, like just a reminder to these guys who may not know exactly how it fully works, that Jesus, all they're going to do is they're going to come and they're going to kill us and then turn those people into soldiers. They have a limitless supply. We're doomed. It was just it was an awesomeness of moment, not a I didn't know this happened.
Yeah.
Right. Point two on me being slightly annoyed is I got a little Walking Dead-ish, right?
Yes,
Like,
I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, it got. Once you get the zombies, we've had this discussion before. Where do you draw the line between dragons, vagina monster, now zombies? Like, what is allowed and totally fine in this world of fantasy, and what crosses a line a little bit? Oh, what was it at the end of last season with the fireballs? That crossed the line a little bit.
The elf chick.
Yeah. Now, the zombies, like every other zombie movie, it kind of makes it less special,
Here's why I don't think that you should worry too much about that. I think the reason that a lot of people are justifiably sick of zombies is not zombies at all. It's the zombie world where you're scrounging around and then, oh shit, there's one behind a bookcase. And like, this is just an unstoppable army. It's not a zombie apocalypse where they're just wandering around and you have to worry about alerting them. Like, they're fierce warriors that get back up. So I think it's slightly, I'm not too worried about that. And one of the reasons, really fast, why I think this is one of not only the best scenes, I think, in the show so far, but one of the best things they've done to diverge and improve on the books is they've been saying for 5 seasons now, winter is coming, the White Walkers are coming, it's scary as hell, but it hasn't really been scary. And honestly, the White Walkers are, he can kill a person in a fight, but they can't conquer kingdoms with 6 guys with swords. That's not enough. But you see that scene and they pan back and you see tens of thousands and you see that mist come down and everyone's dead in 5 seconds from the mist. That is a threat that can take over the entire world, and they never showed that in the books. So I think this really proves that winter is scary as shit.
I agree. I'm not vaguely anti-zombie. I am aggressively anti-zombie. I don't want to see a movie with a zombie. I'm not interested in the zombie world.
He doesn't want to be bit by a zombie.
I don't want to be. I don't like. You have to pierce their heads. I'm sorry, I just had to do it once. I don't care, man. Zombies are ineffective storytelling almost invariably. But in this case, they had already told us about it. We know that that's the White Walker army, or I guess you guys did. I forgot, but I now remember that when we saw them walking, that it's the White Walkers and the zombies are with them. So it makes sense. I don't want to see an episode where they're like, all gathering around the hut eating. I don't want to. I'm with John. I don't want that. But as far as just like this is I still think of it as the White Walkers. It's the White Walkers army. Like that's how I'm processing it, so I don't get irritated by zombies.
Yeah.
So were you irritated by it?
I was. So it was funny because I was watching it with some friends, and as we're doing it, a few of them were like, wait, is this Walking Dead? Like, it's so similar. And it feels like a hybrid now. It feels like a hybrid between Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. But I'm going to keep giving it a shot. I'm not a big fan of zombies either. I'm zombied out with everything that's been going on in the media recently. So we'll see how it goes. But one point that I wanted to make about the White Walkers, the point where he's actually like raising them from the dead, I thought that was something that was unique to that particular White Walker, but it's not. Apparently all White Walkers can do that.
Right.
Which I thought
How
was
many, are there only 6 White Walkers? I mean, or a few, there's few, we think.
I don't know.
Well, if that's the case, again, I'm less scared than I was before because they've already killed 2 of them.
Right.
But again, both by surprise.
2 best friends killed 2 White Walkers, right?
Yeah.
Sam Tarly and Jon Snow are the only 2 that have ever killed a White Walker. But if there's only 6 of them, well, they're down to 4. That's it.
Well, it might well be that you kill the White Walkers and the zombies die.
Maybe we haven't seen that.
We don't know. So but I think you're right. I mean, I think at some point John's going to go back and they're going to say, "Fuck the zombies. We just got to get to the." We got to get to the White Walkers. Let's kill the White Walkers. Let's see what happens.
Now that they know that they can be killed, they might not willingly walk in. And so really fast, one other point. So we've seen the reason that regular steel doesn't seem to work against them is that if it touches their weapon, it shatters. But we haven't really, have we seen somebody hit a White Walker with regular steel? Like, do we know what that would actually do? I don't think that we do.
Or an arrow.
Or an arrow.
We don't know.
But really fast, one thing that shows that Jon Snow is a dick is his friend, as you said, Sam. He's only has 2 accomplishments to his whole life. He killed a White Walker and he killed a Thenn, and Jon Snow has to go and kill a Thenn and a White Walker. Dick, you can't let him have one thing. He's finally getting laid.
That's funny. I was worried to death that the little kid was going to poison Sam.
So did I. So was I.
Oh, yeah.
Which we don't know the answer to that yet, right?
Right, he's going to Omar.
Because the little kid's got Omar's, little fella thing, written all over him. I mean, how much foreshadowing can they do with the little kid?
Yeah.
You have to make hard decisions because you know they're right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and Sam already got laid, so that's the arc. That's his arc. No, I'm serious. Mm-hmm. That's what you were rooting for, and now he can go ahead and die.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely worried about Ollie, and they're not taking him seriously enough. They're not sitting him down. Like they're trying to get through this crisis that he's having, this intense emotional crisis after seeing his family killed, and then the people he admired making friends with the people who did it. Like with a little pithy. Sometimes you have to do difficult things, and it's too complicated for you. Like this kid needs a 2-hour talk and a walk on the beach.
Yeah. I agree with that completely. And plus, what else are you doing on the wall anyway? Right? Like you got time to kill, right? Yeah. Before zombies to kill, you got time to kill. And so I'd sit the kid down and I would want him to say, hey, I would say, do you understand? Like, and have him say, oh, okay, I get it. Right? Yeah. I hate it, but I get it. Right?
That's right.
But the kids never said that, but partly because I watched The Wire. Right. Like I'm scared to death of the kid because of The Wire and the foreshadowing,
That's
right?
So no, totally. I agree, and they're not taking it seriously enough, and they're also, they're not also explaining. Yeah, they killed. Yes, that was an attack. They weren't warriors. Your parents were farmers, but we've gone out and killed these people for years, and many of them were farmers. This is like we've now irrational things are happening, and this is maybe an attempt to bring rationality back.
Which then comes back to, I think, for my final point, although one never knows, about the final scene, which is that that was one giant Jon Snow was right. And he was right in the nick of time, right? So, that's why, to me, the concluding argument, which I've said in the earlier episodes, on why Jon Snow is right, is that, well, if you don't go to get them, they're going to join the army of the dead.
Yeah.
Would you rather face them alive, and maybe have them as your allies, but it's an open question mark? I get the risk involved there. Or face them when they're dead and a part of the army of the dead. You don't want, that's a no-brainer. It's over. On logic alone, Jon wins that argument, right?
Yeah.
And that final scene was the embodiment of that. If he hadn't gotten there at that point, there was at least 5,000 more that was in the army of the dead that he got onto the ships.
He got onto the ships. And you could tell Ollie, at least, this is not that big a point, but you could tell Ollie, and most of the people who killed your family are now dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think, I don't think Ollie is crazy, or that the crows that don't want to bring them over are crazy, because some of them haven't seen the army of the dead, and they're behind a huge wall, and so that's still a hypothetical threat. Whereas if you bring the bad people on your side of the wall, they could easily kill. I think that it's somewhat understandable.
It's understandable, but it's dumb. These guys are all dumb. They're dumb. They're dumb.
It's just lack of logic.
They're not forward-thinking people. And
no, they're not. They haven't had one day of schooling in their life.
And many of them are, rapists and
killers.
thieves and
but again, leadership. I'm sorry. I'm obsessed about this. But if I'm Jon Snow, I also send a bunch of crows and guys. If I got 50 guys, I send 10 of them, 20 of them down to get dragon stone or dragon glass. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Do the 3,000-mile journey, because if they're coming, that's the number one thing you need. I make arrows out of it. I make cannons out of it. I make swords out of it.
If you want to make money in Westeros, you open a dragon glass shop.
Yeah. And also, really fast on dragons, as we were watching the Army of the Dead, one of the, like I said, I love that they showed how big of a threat it is, because Stannis' army can't do anything to that. The Unsullied can't do anything. Nothing. You can't stop that. Maybe a wall or a dragon. A dragon could have fucked up that entire thing with flames to kill both the whites and the White Walkers.
You're stealing my dragon thunder here, because the entire time I've been unimpressed by the Army of the Dead and the White Walkers, right? I agree with you, John, that at least seeing that was impressive, and you get why it scares the living crap out of them, or the dead crap out of them, right? But in the end of the day, in the Song of Fire and Ice, fire, by these rules, must win, because fire kills the dead, right? And And then
Probably
you only have
kills the White Walkers.
Might even kill the White Walkers.
Well-
But even if it doesn't, it's okay. Dragon glass from the dragons.
Give the dragon some Valyrian steel to fly around
Right,
with, and
right.
he can.
And the
burn
White Walker did walk through flame. I don't know if that matters, but yeah, Dany could go. She could be there in 3 days. She could take care of it.
So, but this is
Get on the dragon.
So what this sets up, of course, is you sort of see the coalition that needs to happen now, right? Because at some point, Jon is going to theoretically talk to Stannis and be like, "Look, I got it, but here's what we need. We need dragons. We need, and we have the possibility that if the two outcasts, if Tyrion and Jon, who already bonded once, if they can ever sit and have a conversation, and now Tyrion has Daenerys' ear, like they're now buddies. So, you see, and maybe at some point how Stannis could be convinced, but he probably's got to go. He probably has to die. I don't see him ever being like, okay, I hear you.
We'll share the kingdom.
She's better. I'll take the vice presidency.
Right. The flip side is he went and fought, up in the north when that didn't really help him at all, and it really delayed him, right? He went and helped the wall, and that was an incredible act of...
So if he's serious, if we're to believe that he is a serious person who cares about the kingdom and is not only, he has great ambition, but it's not the only thing happening, then he would be like, yeah, okay, they're the threat, and the dragons are the, okay.
Right.
And she does have an actual claim.
Yeah,
She's
she
a
has an
Targaryen.
actual claim, right? So we'll see.
I don't think so, but maybe.
I don't see it. So what this show did, though, is it did give us, as Jon said, two things that essentially we've been waiting for ever since the end of season 1, at least. Tyrion, Daenerys conversation. They met. These two the two most liked characters, two of the most liked characters, the two most liked powerful characters anyway. And we got to finally, enough White Walker talk.
Yeah.
Like, here's what they can do. So there was a big payoff episode. Big payoff episode.
You know what? I want to lead the fight against the White Walkers. Because here's the thing they got to realize. They got to hit them right now, okay? They can't actually wait to play defense. Because the longer they play defense, the more people the White Walkers kill and the bigger their army gets.
Yeah.
The longer you wait, the more fearsome the army is. So you must hit them now when they're only 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is. And you must do it with dragons and Valyrian steel and dragonglass. So, but they're not going to, because back to Jon's point, the real threat is the one they see with their eyes versus the potential threat. So that goes to Ben's point, which is Stannis is going to be way too obsessed with
Ramsay.
Whether it's Ramsay or Daenerys to worry about the real threat of the White Walkers, and Daenerys is too worried about whether we're having fighting pits or not, blah, 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 to get up north quickly enough, but the reality is, if the longer they wait, then I turn back around and go, okay, now this is a real army. I mean, it's one thing to have 5,000 dead. It's another thing in this world to have 50,000, 100,000 dead, which apparently you can't kill with a shot to the head. You have to obliterate, either with fire or like a giant going,
Right.
and they're smashed to pieces. Right.
So let's get to that Tyrion Daenerys conversation. Were you satisfied with that, Anna?
I was. I thought it was a good scene, especially because it shows just how persuasive Tyrion is. I mean, he's not a physically strong character, but he's so intelligent and he's so persuasive that he can get anything he wants. I mean, Jorah was about to die, and somehow Tyrion convinced Dany, don't do it, just banish him. And so she showed mercy and banished him.
What a waste for Jorah, though.
God, poor
was already
Jorah.
banished.
That was also...
Now I have grayscale or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Banishing him is almost a fate worse than death.
Yeah.
I don't think that Tyrion did him any favors there. I think what Tyrion did by partly selling him out is gain credibility for himself.
Gain credibility, and by time, who knows, at some point he might be able to bring him back. Although, again, he's just one guy who got dealt a bad hand. Like that's happened to, that happens to 50,000 people in this community every day.
Tyrion seemed to have some actual affection for Jorah there.
He does.
I mean, I think that I think he realized that if he tried to push for Jorah to stay, that his case would fall apart. Like that was the best he could
And he
go
also
for.
recognizes that when she needs help, this is a guy who I think Tyrion believes, no, this guy is super loyal.
What would you have me do with him? I swore I would kill him if he ever returned.
First of all, that was the first and only scene where we finally had someone say out loud that Jorah was in love with Dany. And, you know, she knew it. Like, her reaction showed that she was aware of it. She seemed guilty, but also very angry at the fact that, you know, he had betrayed her in such a terrible way. But it's fascinating that now Tyrion is her advisor, especially considering her hatred for her very justified hatred for the Lannisters.
Yeah, I was so excited when I was a little bit drunk, but I was also super excited when we've had so many great scenes of two people at a table with light streaming in from a window in the background, drinking wine. Those little discussion scenes that we really like, and that it was them. It was like is this really happening? Are they at a table? Because again, this is another. I am so happy that it's gotten to this point. We're past where the books are. Like this doesn't happen in the books. But I get to see them at a table. It's so awesome.
Here we are, two terrible children of two terrible fathers. Right? That was a nice line. And then later he's talking about, you know, the only people I trust in the world are, you know, who were the two people he trusted? Varys and of course my brother. And then she goes, the brother who killed my father? And he goes, that's the one.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's wrong because his brother has said if he sees him again, he's going to split him in half.
Yeah, but I don't.
He said it.
He's not gonna.
I know, but that's not a guy you should necessarily wholly trust. The guy who's now sworn to kill you, right or wrong, you know, whether you believe him or not. He is right about Varys, which we've discussed in past episodes is the most ironic thing. That they
Who could still show up there, by the way.
We haven't
almost
seen
certainly will.
That's the path he was on.
So it's a lucky break for Tyrion that Sir Barristan got killed. And so that worked out nicely, okay, because she needs an advisor who knows the Seven Kingdoms real well. Now, I like the part where he's like, oh, you know, I hate your father. Well, I got good news for you. I killed him. But that's also the bad news because there's the argument that Tyrion made against Ser Jorah is actually more persuasive against Tyrion. Like, oh, he didn't tell you, you can't quite trust him, so you got to banish him. But she says, rightfully, like, well, you killed your parents, you know, and so how can I trust you? And I think that's a fair argument.
No, it's a fair argument if you don't know the facts. The father rigged a trial to get him killed. That father had it coming.
And slept with his girl.
I mean, the father, and he's leaving that part out. And then afterwards, after conspiring to have me found guilty of a crime that I did not commit, which he knows I did not commit, he coerced a witness. The witness was the one woman I loved in life, and then he took her as his mistress. That father's got to go.
Yeah, but nonetheless, it leaves the impression that if you're a leader that he thinks has got to go, he can make you go.
I got you, but I mean, and I would say to Daenerys, yes, and if you banish me to death, then yes, then I might try and kill you if I get out.
Yeah, well, but that's a real threat.
But
who wouldn't? But I mean,
No, here's the thing. If you think you need help, you are going to want Tyrion around. If you're positive that you're comfortable in your power, I would not leave Tyrion around. Not being me, I would. I like Tyrion. I think I'm a good guy. But then she's a good person, so she wouldn't unnecessarily kill him or anything like that. But if all you care about is power, that guy is way too smart to keep around. Do you see what I'm saying?
I got you, but I mean, that's a different kind of threat than this sort of blanket. You can't be trusted because you might kill your leaders.
I hear you. I mean, if I'm the leader of Westeros, first thing I do is I get Varys, Tyrion, and Littlefinger in a room. Slice all their throats.
Oh my God, Littlefinger goes first.
Littlefinger goes first.
He is such a shady piece of shit. Okay, one other thing that I wanted to mention though,
Littlefinger.
Littlefinger.
Littlefinger, right.
Yeah, I mean he's very manipulative and very smart, and he likes to play everyone against one another. But anyway, I wanted to make a point about something Tyrion said that I thought was really persuasive. You know, there was a point where Daenerys basically told him, like, why shouldn't I just murder you right now? And he was like, look, I have nothing left to live for. I don't really care about life. The only reason why I'm here is because you give me hope. I'm paraphrasing. But I thought that was a really powerful line because it shows that he's going to be loyal to her and that he is only there because of her. And I think that spoke volumes to her.
It was very interesting, I think, that the first piece of sort of advice that he gives her is, yeah, your whole plan about conquering Westeros, you probably shouldn't do that. Which might have been sort of a test. Like, let's see how she defends the idea.
I think it was a test. Like, just rule here. You'll be great. This is good. You've helped people. You can help some other people around here. You don't need that.
I didn't get a sense it was a test.
Really?
I think he wanted to see.
He wants her to go there.
She wants the game. He wants her to go. He wants her, but he wants to see what. And then he challenges her on the, great, you'll have the people with you. Let's pretend that that's true. I'm not even sure it's true. You can't rule without the families. How'd that work out for you last time? And then they have that great conversation about
the wheel.
It's a beautiful dream. Stopping the wheel. You're not the first person who's ever dreamt it.
I'm not going to stop the wheel. I'm going to break the wheel.
He's right. Like, I like the sort of constraint. He went through the list of houses and who's still around and who's not. And they're forgetting like 4 houses. I guess in the show they're just not going to talk about them ever. But he has a good point. Like, you can't just march in 10,000 unsullied. Maybe you can take King's Landing, but you can't rule a kingdom based on that. The reason that they have 7 kingdoms is no one person can rule. You need other people. It's feudalism. You need other people to watch those areas because nobody can do it themselves.
So all of that is relatively true, except for the last time the Targaryens came in and ruled for a long, long time is because they had 3 dragons, and it turns out you can rule with 3 dragons. Like, look, there's a little rebellion in Dorne. Oh, they have dangerous little snakes and daggers. Okay, send one of the bad boy dragons.
But they still had those houses. They didn't wipe out those houses.
Right. Now, I hear you, but those houses, they went on bended knee when they saw the dragons. Now, let me introduce one awesome thought to you guys. What if the White Walkers somehow, or the Army of the Dead, managed to kill one of the dragons, and then it joined the Army of the Dead?
Oh, damn.
Damn, an ice dragon with blue eyes.
With a giant writing on it.
Yeah.
It would be over.
No, dude. The giant on top with blue eyes. Now we're back into, okay, now it's close. Now dragons versus Army of the Dead, and we're having a real conversation.
Oh,
Dragon versus dragon in the air. That could be a good scene.
Yeah.
I just can't wait until Tyrion rides a goddamn dragon. It's got to happen at this point.
But then now we get from Walking Dead to How I Trained My Dragon, and we've jumped, we've jumped the dragon at that point.
Do we want to talk about Jorah, by the way, since that's sort of on the edges of this Tyrion?
You mean his decision to go back to the fighting pits? And
yeah, which I don't entirely understand.
Seems repetitive. Like what he's gonna.
No, I get it.
He wants to show he's willing to die, I guess.
No,
he already did that.
No, the dude is, and I can relate to this. He's just being relentless.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to get as many hits as I can in front of you until you go, all right, how many, okay, fine.
But he's got, stop going into the guy, if you want her, stop going into the city. You're going to give people grayscale and you're going to wipe out her city.
Yeah.
Is it not spreading?
So, no, it is spreading. It got a little larger. But my question that's super important.
You sure it's
It looked a little bit bigger, maybe.
It was not
but
a very,
much
from a television, from a storytelling point of view, I think it's very ambiguous.
I think it's supposed to be ambiguous. Like they want to let you know he's on the clock, but it's a rather long clock.
Yeah, I don't know
about rather long. Medium-sized clock, as my kid would say. Medium.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on, grayscale. If at what point does him touching someone else turn them into stone men or whatever?
Like, based on the info we have, it seems like if you have skin-to-skin contact, at least with an infected area, it can spread it to you.
Well, that's the key part. Like, for example, if you were to touch Daenerys, is that cool? Or would he, like, is he going to be, if he touches her with this part, does she turn into Stoneman? If that's the case, then boy, is Tyrion right. Get away from Daenerys, right? And look.
But he doesn't know.
Yeah, he has no idea. No one knows.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm saying, like, it turns out Tyrion is right. But the one guy who does know, and which then proves Tyrion right 100% is Jorah, and he's keeping that secret again.
That's
Again,
true.
he can't be trusted with a very, very important secret, because if he really cares that much about her, he should say, hey, wait a minute. Let me show you something. I've got this, and I shouldn't ever touch you, right? And I shouldn't come close to you. I wanted to, but he never says that because he cares ultimately too much about his passion and his love for her than he does about her.
That's a good point. He could also kind of be in denial. Right? But another thing that I found interesting is, him going back into the fighting pits to show his devotion and love for her is counterproductive because she despises the fighting pits.
Yeah.
Right? It makes her sick to her stomach. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
He's a desperate man, and desperate times call for.
But I mean,
what?
He should cut his arm off.
He should probably cut his arm off, yeah.
Well,
Would that work?
If he could trust,
maybe.
It looks like it.
And then he should get a golden hand.
Yeah, right. Like he should go to Jamie's hand.
Golden
guy.
elbow.
Yeah. Who's your
It's
hand
very
guy,
trendy
Jamie?
right now.
Yeah, go and get a quick hand job, and then he'll be good to go again.
So Cersei.
Yes.
I've
Been waiting for
seeing her
this.
And you know what's great is that it's good to learn that you're really solidly against torture. Because Cersei is the worst person on the planet, right? But when she says, I want to see you suffer and die, I think, so do I. I want that woman to suffer and die.
Oh, like the wicked nun.
Yeah, you know why? Because you're in a position of power and you're abusing, you're torturing her with the water. Like, hey, confess. That's torture, saying, I'm not going to give you any water until you confess to a crime which you did not commit, except in Cersei's case, guilty on all counts. But which, you know, on silly charges, right? Then what, except for maybe killing the king. Maybe not a silly charge there. But, you know, there is something hideous about that person. Hideous. And I want her to die, even though...
Ironically, you want her tortured?
Apparently, yeah.
But ironically, I don't want to be on Cersei's side. I don't want Cersei to. I don't want anything good to happen to Cersei.
No, I thought you were going in a slightly different direction, which I totally also agree with. Which is that I didn't like seeing Cersei tortured, even though I hate Cersei.
Yeah, right. But it's the same point.
And it created, and I'll make a Mankiewicz-like point here, which is that it created sympathy for Cersei when I don't want to have sympathy for her, right? So, and by the way, you know, it also doesn't work. Meaning, if I'm Cersei, the question that I constantly want to ask that nun is, hey, why does God need you to torture me to get a confession out of me? Doesn't God already know the truth?
Right.
And so, like, why, like, or can't God get it out of me in other ways? So apparently you have no faith. Yeah. You have to torture me to try to get me to admit something that I don't want to admit. And so none of this makes any sense. You don't even believe in your own God.
Well,
at least here's the only thing I want to do as a strike back to the nun is not skin her alive or anything like that. Just to have her go, like, introduce a little doubt into her stupid, stupid faith.
Yeah, in my experience, if you use logic with the religious, they understand how ridiculous they are.
No, but you just touched on a really great line. Again, I don't remember it word for word, but at one point when Cersei was speaking to her advisor, I forget his name, he said something along the lines of, or maybe she said it, that, you know, when you're dealing with the religious people, it usually lacks logic.
Belief is so often the death of reason.
I wish you'd said it sooner.
Yes, that was such a great line. But I actually disagree with you guys 100% about the torture element of that scene. In fact, I think I'm so desensitized with all the violence in the show that I didn't even really consider that torture. Yeah, she's thirsty. She'll be fine. She's the crazy person who put these religious nut jobs on in power. Yeah. So she's getting a taste of her own medicine. And honestly, watching her, you know, slurp that dirty water on the floor was very, very satisfying for me. Because think of how much she destroyed the lives of other people, including Margaery, right? So Margaery's also imprisoned, but so are you, bitch. That's what you get.
Yeah. So no, I don't. Her being in prison, especially after she just did it to Margaery.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that, right? But for some reason, I don't hate her nearly as much as I hated Joffrey. It's not even close.
Yeah, Joffrey was just inherently evil.
No, you know, Joffrey combined evil with lack of reason. That drove me crazy. It was arbitrary evil. At least Cersei's evil with a point. Like, I get it. There's logic behind it. She's trying to maintain power. And she has her own code. Her own code is protect my family, right? And for the good of my family. And so seeing her tortured is not, like, I loved seeing Joffrey die. Okay, I'm not playing.
But part of the reason I love seeing Joffrey die is because he died in his mom's arms. I liked her suffering. That was almost. I did. I told you before. I wanted Tommen to die that day in her arms. I thought, you know,
can we ship back Marcella? Let her die in the arms.
Better?
Yeah, but nonetheless, you're still bothered by her torture.
I am bothered by her torture. I am bothered by people in position of power abusing the weak. And at that moment, she's weak. I got it. She's strong overall. I want her, you know, put away. I want her to spend her life in prison. But you mentioned it too. It's one of my most compelling reasons always for me, personally, about the death penalty was I hate the moment that I feel real sympathy and pain for the person on death row. And in situations where it's not the wrong guy. It's a guy who destroyed a family, destroyed lives, destroyed generations. And I just was like, I just want to just leave him in prison forever, please. So I don't feel this. I don't want to feel this for this guy. I don't want to feel an ounce of sympathy. And I don't want to feel any sympathy for Cersei at all.
Yeah, okay, so now out of all that machinations, that's the stuff I love. I love the intrigue a lot more than I like the actual battles with the dead and stuff like that. Although, again, no, I don't want to be seen bah humbug. The last battle was great, right?
Coming over the cliffs.
The cliff thing was fantastic. Yeah, the running, the firemen running towards the fire.
When the guy looks through the hole, and you expect he's just going to get a sword through the eye, but then out of the mist, you see all the, like, how quickly they were moving.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were in 28 days later. I thought it was slow Walking Dead.
Right. And so I love all that, but the intrigue is better. And so in the case of Cersei, the only thing that made me uncomfortable is Tommen's not seeing anyone. I get it, he's a child, right? But
still convenient.
It's a little too convenient that they get to just sit there with no one helping them because Tommen won't see anyone.
And Dr. Frankenstein saying, I tried, what are you going to do? Although that guy, we don't even, there's no one
We
less
don't know what his
trustworthy
motivation. I thought when he said we have one other option, that he was going to say, "Oh, I've got the mountain with two heads."
Right.
Like, let's. You want me to unleash him, right?
Yeah, and then when he leaves, he says the work continues. The impression left with Cersei is I'll continue to work to get you out, but I think he means my work on the third head for the mountain continues. Really?
Really?
Yeah.
We're going to get that third head on there. We just need more neck.
Yeah. Okay. So to me, the obvious answer there is the Queen of Thorns goes and talks to Tommen and says, Tommen, look, here's the deal. You want your mom back. You want your queen back, right? I got this. We're going to do this together, House Tyrell and House Baratheon. Together, like that's the whole point of your marriage, etc. And she, of course, works it so that Cersei is killed in the trial, right? She goes on trial first, is killed, then they rush, and kill all the people of the faith with the Kingsguard and yada yada. I mean, at some point, like they've got to get those hostages basically out in the open where the Kingsguard can get them and kill the faith. Right?
What's going to happen with? I think yes. I think that Diana Rigg is going to play a role here, but clearly Jaime is going to play a role.
So far.
I got it, but I mean, so he'll come. So they'll spend a long time in prison, but he'll come back. Theoretically.
Yeah, I think that trial is happening this season.
Yeah,
I think this is like next episode or the one after.
Yeah, I don't think that trial is going to happen 4.5 months from now, letting Jaime come back from Dorne.
Yeah, but you got to file motions and their counter motions.
Those appeals take like 17, 18 years.
I don't think they've done any discovery, Cenk. Real quick, we got Sansa and Theon. So Sansa learned the truth. I think that, again, back to that sort of difficulty that some people had with the Sansa scene, the sexual assault at the end of 2 episodes ago, which I've talked about, but I haven't been here. I did not have that same objection, although I heard it, but I didn't have it. But I think Sansa has completely taken ownership. One of the fears was, now Theon's going to save her, but Theon's not.
No.
Saving her. She is definitely, she's going to orchestrate her own extrication from that. If she's able to.
She still has that thing that she grabbed. We haven't seen that in a while, but she did get that weapon.
Oh, yeah, that's
right. She has something.
Yeah, she does have a weapon. But she got the information that her brother's alive. That's also, again, another huge reveal.
Yeah, it gives her hope. I don't remember which of you guys predicted it, but somebody predicted that Theon would tell her that their brothers are still alive. So whoever that was, congratulations.
I did, but I thought Theon was going to be a spy. I thought Theon was set up to sort of turn and reveal information, but he didn't.
Yeah, and then when he walked in with the candle, I thought, wow, this is an episode ago. That's weird that Ramsay happens to be dining at the abandoned tower. And then like many days later, I was like, oh, right, that wasn't the abandoned tower. He went straight to him.
Yeah, they did tricky editing.
That light bulb just went off for me because you explained it. I thought he was I thought like, man, that he knows exactly what's going to happen. He knows exactly where to be.
That's what I thought. I'm serious. That light bulb went out, or that candle went out over my head 3 days later.
Oh, wow.
Like on a Wednesday, I was like, oh, right. He wasn't in the tower. Reek went straight to him.
He looked at the tower, and then he
Theon?
went
Holy, I thought it was Reek.
So, and then we got Arya, which seems like in a different episode. I mean,
or a different show.
We don't know. Obviously, something is happening there. I don't know.
That's taking too long.
It is taking too long, I agree. As I was watching that scene, I was like, wait, how does this fit into everything, and what is she going to do?
It does feel very disconnected now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, they're doing it differently than the books. It was more connected in the books, and I wonder now how they're gonna they're going to bring it back because there were other people in that city in the books.
The line that the guy gave to her is that when he said that, you know, she's not ready to become no one, but she may be ready to become someone else. So she's taken on this other role. But I mean, what? To prove that this guy is swindling, you know, it just seems
I think
like
that's just a case study. She needs to be able to show that she can totally disassociate herself and become 100% authentically a new identity. And can I make a prediction?
Yes, because we're off the books now, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, again, it's something like what happened there, but it's not the same. None of the training is very different and everything. But I think so. She her big test is that she apparently has to poison that guy. But we know that the Tyrell daddy and the guy who killed the Bravosi sword dancer, whatever, are going to Bravos. I think that she's going to come across him and have to choose who she kills. Is she going to defy and go back to her identity, or is she going to do what Jaqen H'ghar told her to do?
Oh, that's
And again,
good.
that's not in the books, but that's what I'm predicting.
Well, that would be great. That would be super, super interesting. When the other girl says, I don't think the girl is ready, right? I'm with Anna, I'm like, yeah, let's move it along, right? Like, ready or not, here she goes.
I don't. That definitely interests me less. And I was so interested in Arya before when she was, you know, with what's his name?
The Hound.
When she was with the Hound, like that was all compelling, and Brianna looking for her, that was all compelling. This to me is less compelling.
No, it's great. It's just we've had too much sweeping of the floors.
I got it. Now
but not just sweeping of the floors. Just like the development of Arya has taken way too long. It's several seasons now, and you know you think, oh my God, she's finally going to get some revenge, and it's not happening. She's not anywhere near getting any type of revenge, and it's frustrating.
Although ironically, as we talk this out, we feel the same thing Arya feels. So maybe job well done on the part of the storytellers of the frustration of when do I get to have the revenge?
Ramsay is dumb. We knew it. But
you think so?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think that when he says give me 20 good riders, I take him at his word that he's going to do some serious damage to Stannis' guys. With 20 guys. That's really interesting that you guys don't think so.
No,
I just don't. It's unnecessary. You don't have to do it. I know. I think one of the reasons they're doing it is it's a lot cheaper to film a 20-person attack on Stannis' camp than them attacking Winterfell. But what do you have to gain? They'll die in the winter if you just stay in your castle.
Yeah, you just have to be patient.
Yeah, no. I get the general value of that, but I've come to trust Ramsay. I don't mean obviously in a moral sense, but I mean in a sense that he knows what he's doing, right?
He's not a fighter. He's not a tactical guy.
He
can fight. We saw him in that scene where he was like basically naked with 2 daggers and he took out a bunch of people. Like he can fight. In that scene where the sister of Theon tried to save him a couple seasons ago. But it seems like unnecessary violence.
In that fight?
No, she got out. Okay. She's back on the island.
I love that you just said Ramsay's about to do unnecessary violence.
For the first time ever. What does this mean for his character?
Like, I'm not saying that 20-person tactical thing won't work, but he didn't quite understand what his dad was saying about the...
No, I think he understands it, but he's impatient. You're right.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, I think... So here's my sense of how this thing plays out. The winter plus Ramsay's 20-person crew does a lot of damage to Stannis. By the time he gets to the walls of Winterfell, he's in really bad shape. Now he goes from a favorite to a serious underdog, right? And the only thing that saves him is the army of the wildlings that come and help him.
Oh, I thought you were going to say sacrificing Shireen.
Well,
you said they're going to drive him to the breaking point and he might have to make that choice. That would do it.
Yeah, that's a much more likely outcome, actually. The wildlings thing, along with the dead dragon, are my fantasies. It's fantasy within a fantasy. It's dreidel still spinning.
Now, keep in mind that Kevin, Uncle Kevin, will not see Cersei, but he is back.
Yeah,
and he's a professional.
And he's a Lannister.
He's a Lannister, and I don't think he's going to stand for this.
No,
That's
true.
I
don't. They've set him up as a bit of a mystery, but I don't see Uncle Kevin Lannister being like, oh, you're going to kill Cersei Lannister. You of the faith.
Oh, the faith and the High Sparrow are in charge now? Oh, okay. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. That's not how Uncle Lannister rolls.
No.
Far more likely that the High Sparrow's head rolls than that's the way Uncle Kevin rolls.
Yeah, like he may figure out a way. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get Cersei out, and I'm going to make it clear to her that there's no power when she leaves. But I'm getting her out of this.
Yeah, and perhaps this is his way of making her, grovel and suffer a little bit more, know her role.
Yeah.
Oh, you thought you didn't need me?
Right.
Oh, I guess you don't need me. Why do I have to come visit you, right?
Because we get that mentioned. So like he's not gonna knock on. No, Tommen won't come see me. Well, all right.
Yeah.
Well.
I don't think Uncle Kevin's too worried about what Tommen's feelings are right now.
I think Uncle Kevin's going in the room.
The king is depressed. Is he?
Yeah. I think Kev's going to go in the room. I think. Let me see if there's anything else. There was, the Dr. Frankenstein when he says to Cersei, the charges. She says, fornication, treason, incest, the murder of King Robert, all lies. And he goes, "Of course, Your Grace." We'll see. We got 2 episodes left. Traditionally, not always, not in the Red Wedding year, but episode 9, the second to last episode, has been the big one. Although I feel like this one, I think we just had the big one.
No. Ye of little faith. Okay. No, there are far more deaths to come.
Oh, yeah.
No important character has died yet. What are we waiting on here? I mean, obviously, some big boys are about to roll, right?
The trial.
So we got episode 9 is the big one usually, and 10 is kind of okay, let's wrap this thing up. So we're heading into the big week here where, buckle up, probably someone you really like's about to die.
In the preview, we see they're going to be in the big Coliseum. Like there's going to be a scene where she's starting the fighting. God knows what's going to happen there.
How many seasons do they say they're going to do? 7, is that right? I don't. Maybe they haven't even said.
7 books, I think, but God knows how many seasons.
To me, like Ser Jorah dying, Bronn dying, Brienne dying are all.
Those are auxiliary deaths.
Exactly. Like I feel like I already know that. Like
Yeah, they won't all die. But
no, I'm one of those guys. A couple of those guys.
1 out
dying.
of 3.
I'm already have absorbed the shock of that before it even happens.
Right.
Okay. I am preemptively shocked. Okay. But I'm wondering if they go bigger.
No, and you said the main thing. It's Dragon the Dragon going to die. Like that's the. and is he going to die? And then, as part of a.
Yeah.
And will he be? That's not happening in the next 2 episodes. But
No. No, but I'm talking like Jaime Lannister beheaded out of nowhere in Dorne.
Right.
Right.
Wow.
So, could that happen?
Cersei.
Anything could happen.
Cersei could certainly die. Yes. I mean, she's the first on the chopping block, if you will.
Oh,
Quite literally.
What's the crazy Charles Manson Lannister kid's name?
Lancel?
Lancel. Yeah, like Lancel dying.
Lancel the Lannister.
Right.
I mean,
Here
the
we go,
High
yeah.
Sparrow dying would be huge at this point.
No, High
Oh, that'd
Sparrow.
be big. That's a new power. in the
Dude, the
Seven
guy's
Kingdoms.
name is Sparrow. How tough could he be?
Which is why he's likely to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. Is there a big death coming from is it, or are we losing Jon Snow? Like that's
Yeah.
are we
No,
losing
I
Sam?
think the question
Ollie.
is which Lannister dies, Cersei or Jaime. But a big Lannister's got to roll here.
All right, we're back next week. Thanks for watching, everybody.